Joining us now, Council on Foreign Relations President Emeritus Richard Haass. Richard, welcome. So deflation's a big problem in China right now because it's making people feel poorer and want to spend less right when the government needs confidence. When will we know exactly how serious a problem this is for them?
Well, we already know it's a serious problem. That's not in doubt. The patient, shall we say, is ill. And these small cuts in rates is like giving aspirin to someone who's in the emergency room, not close to being enough. So the real question is what the Chinese leadership does when it becomes clear these partial measures aren't enough. And either they've got to double down and essentially increase repression and try to get through this, or they're going to have to do something like they did during COVID, which is change policy dramatically and go back to a much more open economic model. I think that's unlikely. So the most likely course for the time being is pretty much more of the same.
Okay, more of the same for now. But then you also say a third thing that they could do is ramp up the tensions with Taiwan. And I guess part of the theory here is if you've got a young, largely male, idle workforce, that's not a good thing. Best to distract them with something?
That's exactly right. They've got over 20%, probably higher, youth unemployment. Their response to that is to stop publishing the data. That's unlikely to solve the problem. No, the danger is that they turn to foreign mischief or to aggression. I mean, think about it. The bargain between the Chinese Communist Party and the people for decades was, we will deliver to you high levels of economic growth, better lifestyle, and in return, you give us 100% of your political loyalty. You don't worry about your rights. Well, if they can't deliver significant levels of economic growth, and I think that era is over, what then? And that's the challenge they face. And sure, what worries people like me is they will look to distract through satisfying nationalism. That's where Taiwan comes in. And what we need to do, we, the United States, Japan, Australia, Europe, is need to indicate to China that that would be folly. That is not their answer. The only way they can really deal with their economy is through serious economic reform.
So is it, Richard, by making that option look bad, by saber rattling and saying, if you cause trouble for Taiwan, here's how it will respond? Or is it by making something else look better, by tying them somehow more closely to the West, even though this idea that economic cooperation was going to make China friendlier hasn't worked out so far?
Yeah, I don't think tying China more closely to the West is a serious option right now. What we're trying to do is create more barriers in the way of technology flow there. There's too much of what China's doing at home or abroad for us to open things up. So no, I think what we need to do is discourage aggression on their part. That's what deterrence is all about. And then what we need to do is essentially force China to essentially make their own economic choices. And again, there's two. One is more of the same. I don't think that's very attractive, but it is hard to imagine this Chinese leadership agreeing to significant economic loosening because they obviously worry that would lead to pressures for political loosening, and that's the last thing they want. The word dilemma is overused. China's leadership, Xi Jinping, have a dilemma here.